The evolution of the Philippines from ancient roots to a modern nation. The story of the Philippines is one of constant transformation, shaped by waves of migration, trade, colonization, and the enduring resilience of its people. Long before it became a unified nation, the archipelago was a scattered collection of islands, home to diverse groups who lived in harmony with the sea and land. The earliest settlers are believed to have arrived tens of thousands of years ago, crossing land bridges and sailing primitive boats from mainland Asia. These early communities hunted, gathered and later cultivated rice and root crops, establishing villages that thrived in the fertile valleys and coastal shores. Over time, Austronesian-speaking peoples spread across the islands, bringing advanced seafaring skills and weaving the cultural foundations that still shape Filipino identity today. As centuries passed, the islands became part of a wider Asian network of trade. Chinese merchants brought silk, porcelain and iron tools in exchange for beeswax, pearls and forest products, while Indian influences introduced elements of Hinduism, Buddhism and new artistic traditions. By the 10th century, barangays, small, kinship-based communities led by a datu, flourished along the coasts. These early political structures emphasized kinship ties and communal cooperation, forming the roots of Filipino social order. The sea became both highway and lifeline, allowing interaction with neighbors from Borneo, Sumatra, and the wider Malay world. When Islam spread across Southeast Asia around the 14th century, it reached the southern Philippines, where Muslim sultanates like Sulu and Maguindanao took root. These states developed sophisticated systems of governance, written laws, and active trade relations with other Islamic polities. The sultans became powerful rulers, and their domains were centers of culture and scholarship. Islam reshaped local customs, introducing new forms of art, architecture and spiritual practice, many of which still endure in Mindanao today. Meanwhile, northern and central regions of the archipelago continued their own evolution, ruled by daitas and rajas, who maintained links with neighboring kingdoms. The 16th century marked a turning point when Spanish explorers arrived, led by Ferdinand Magellan in 1521. Though Magellan himself was killed in Cebu, Spanish expeditions soon returned, and in 1565, Miguel López de Legazpi established the first permanent settlement in Cebu before moving to Manila, which became the capital. The Spanish era, which lasted over 300 years, left a profound imprint on Philippine society. Catholicism spread widely, replacing or blending with indigenous beliefs, and today the Philippines remains the largest Christian nation in Asia. Churches and missions became central to village life, introducing literacy through religious texts and reshaping traditions with festivals that fused native practices and Catholic devotion. Spanish rule also brought both integration and hardship. The Manila-Acapulco galleon trade connected the islands to the Americas and Europe, bringing wealth but also exposing the colony to exploitation. The encomienda system, forced labor and tribute demanded from local populations, caused suffering, yet the resilience of communities allowed them to adapt and resist. Revolts broke out periodically, led by leaders determined to preserve freedom and traditions. At the same time, the Spanish introduced new crops technologies and architectural styles, transforming agriculture and daily life. Manila grew into a cosmopolitan hub where Spanish friars, Chinese merchants and Filipino natives lived side by side, though not always peacefully. By the 19th century, a new consciousness was emerging. Filipino intellectuals educated in Europe, such as José Rizal, Marcelo H. del Pilar and Graciano López Jaena, began to call for reforms, equality and national identity. Their writings awakened a sense of unity among diverse groups scattered across the archipelago. When Rizal was executed in 1896, the Katipunan Revolutionary Society rose in armed rebellion against Spain, sparking the Philippine Revolution. Although fragmented and challenged, the movement declared independence in 1898 under General Emilio Aguinaldo, raising the first Philippine flag in Kawit, Cavite. However, destiny took another turn when the Spanish-American War erupted. Spain ceded the Philippines to the United States in 1898, and instead of independence, the country found itself under a new colonial master. The Philippine-American War followed, a brutal conflict that cost hundreds of thousands of Filipino lives but ultimately established American rule. Under the United States, new institutions were introduced: public schools, democratic governance models, and modern infrastructure. English became a lingua franca. Education expanded and cities began to modernize. Yet colonial rule also imposed new dependencies, with the economy tied heavily to American markets and political decisions shaped by foreign interests. Despite this, a strong sense of nationalism persisted. Filipino leaders lobbied tirelessly for independence, and in 1935, the Philippines became a commonwealth with Manuel L. Quezon as its first president, setting the stage for eventual sovereignty. But World War II brought devastation as Japanese forces invaded in 1941. The Filipino and American forces fought bravely in battles such as Bataan and Corregidor, and, guerrilla resistance spread throughout the islands. The war inflicted immense suffering, with atrocities committed by the occupiers, yet, it also strengthened Filipino unity. When liberation came in 1945, the Philippines stood battered but unbowed, ready to reclaim its path toward independence. On July 4, 1946, the Philippines finally achieved full independence, becoming the first republic in Asia after World War II. The years that followed were marked by both promise and challenge. The nation sought to rebuild, balancing traditional values with modernization. Democratic institutions were tested repeatedly, with periods of stability giving way to political turbulence. The rule of Ferdinand Marcos, who declared martial law in 1972, ushered in years of authoritarianism, human rights abuses, and, unfortunately, corruption. Yet the resilience of the Filipino spirit again prevailed when the People Power Revolution of 1986 ousted Marcos peacefully, restoring democracy under Corazon Aquino. Since then, the Philippines has continued to evolve as a nation marked by contradictions and resilience. Its people remain tied to traditions of family, faith, and community while embracing global influences through migration, technology, and trade. Millions of overseas Filipino workers contribute not only to the global economy, but also to their homeland, sustaining families and shaping a culture deeply interconnected with the wider world. Challenges such as poverty, political conflict, and natural disasters continue, yet time and again Filipinos rise to meet them with determination and hope. The evolution of the Philippines is not merely a story of colonization and independence, but of adaptation, survival, and creativity. From its earliest Austronesian settlers to its vibrant modern democracy, the archipelago has drawn strength from its diversity, weaving together influences from Asia, Europe, and the Americas into a unique cultural fabric. Its festivals, languages, and traditions reveal a people who have absorbed change without losing their core identity. Above all, it is the resilience of the Filipino spirit, born of centuries of struggle and triumph, that defines the nation. The Philippines today stands not only as a country of over 100 million people, but as a living testament to the enduring power of cultural evolution, where ancient roots and modern aspirations continue to shape a nation still writing its own story.